Alrighty, so news of the week episode on this Thursday afternoon, and with the All Star game just completed yesterday, and all the All Star festivity has concluded for this year at least. That means that we are now officially in the stretch runs. Now, obviously, I know we still have Leeds Cup to talk about, and also we will definitely be talking about all the transfer rumors that has gone on because today is actually officially the day where the secondary transfer window is started. But yeah, these next couple of days, it's going to be very busy when it comes to some of the news that has happened. And there's going to be a lot of movement that is going to happen, especially for teams making some changes in terms of their roster and looking to build on the roster, especially teams that are in the midst of playoff contention or maybe even contending for an MLS Cup this year. They're going to definitely try to make the team stronger before we head into September when the roster does freeze. And once we head to the September roster freeze, you can't really make a lot of move to adjust your team. Now, let's talk about some of the signings that have already happened. And because the transfer window officially opened today, so these signings have now been made official where now players can actually join their respective club. We have seen some move that is made before the transfer window opened, but these are pretty much just pre-contract now that these players, of course, can move to their respective team that they of course got traded, and one of those player is Bin. So as I mentioned before, Minnesota, they are looking to move on from Bin. They actually also traded Devin Padel for, well, I wouldn't say traded, but more like send him on loan with St. Louis City. But they do acquire Bin outright for $1.6 million in the cash trade, and it could also rise up to $2 million due to performance incentive. Now, I think this is a steal certainly for Minnesota as the amount that they of course got him. I can understand why some St. Louis fans are a little bit frustrated with this and feel like this is a way overpay for the like of Sun Bin, who it just never really quite worked out with Minnesota. Really kind of fell out of favor this season. And one of the thing that I think that's kind of frustrated about Sun Bin is he definitely has the potential to do things, but the thing that always let him down is his poor first touch and also his finishing. He's a very fast kind of player, but that's kind of the only thing that he does. And he could be a good guy when it comes to coming off the bench in terms of testing the entire defender with his pace. But even though they try to do that, and even Eric Ramsey tried multiple times putting something off the bench, he hasn't really been effective because, like I said, because his poor first touch and his finishing, he just haven't looked the same. Now, obviously, we'll see whether or not him going to St. Louis is going to help out, and whether or not St. Louis might give him some more minutes with this team. I mean, for the amount that they of course pay, I mean, you would assume he's probably going to get more minutes. You don't pay a bench player $1.6 million in cash trade and not play him at least regularly in some games. But yeah, certainly this is one that it's sad to see some Ben, of course, leaving the Loons. He's a very well loved player in the Loons fan base. I also feel bad for Bongi as well. Him and his relationship with Ben, that is probably the best relationship I've seen a teammate has had or at least one of the best teammate relationship I've seen, especially within the club that I root for that I ever seen. But yeah, it is a business decision. Minnesota just they had to move on from Sunbin, especially the contract that they of course have to give him, just not really live up to it, and them getting a pretty good chunk of money in return. I think that's considered a steal. I was not expecting them getting that much for Sunbin back, even if it is a cash trade. Now, CF Montreal, they have acquired Ephraim Morales from Atlanta United in exchange for 800,000 general allocation money. So you talk about an overpay as well. I feel like this is definitely an overpay. Not saying that Ephraim Morales could not be good with Montreal. I just think that he's another example of just never really fit in the system of Atlanta, and also haven't really got a lot of chance to play for this Atlanta team, mainly because they've been playing most of the more expensive kind of signings that they have, and it just didn't really quite worked out. So in search for minutes, Montreal is probably not the team you want to go when it comes to winning culture. I mean, I gotta feel bad for him, the fact that he gone from one dumpster fire this season in Atlanta United to another dumpster fire right now in CF Montreal right now. But for players, it's all about them want to get some more minutes and maybe even improve their performance, or maybe even prove that they actually have can do well when they're given the chances. And again, I don't think he really got the chances with Atlanta, and now him going to Montreal. I'm expecting he probably will get more of that chances. Again, same thing I said about Sunbin. CF Montreal is not going to put him on the bench if you pay 800,000 general allocation money. Again, that feels like it's a very big overpay for a player that definitely has upsides, but still, I mean, it doesn't have any upsides. I mean, you kind of once again question this Montreal front office, which again, the fan base of this team is absolutely fed up with the front office and also the ownership group. And as I'll talk about in just a bit, at least the ownership group kind of did try to put a half-ass apology to the fan base and kind of acknowledge in terms of the bad run of form and see what the direction is going forward this season for the team and in the future. Now, some other signings to note. We got the New York Red Bulls signing Swedish midfielder Gustav Berggren from a club that I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm probably going to absolutely butcher this name. I think it's like Rakov Czech, something like that. That's my best attempt in terms of trying to pronounce that. I believe is this a Czech team or a Polish team that is. Either way, this feels like it's more of a depth signing for the New York Red Bulls itself. And then of course FC Dallas signing Christian Columbus from Viking FK. Now, what's kind of interesting is that he used to be with the FC Dallas academy before he did go overseas, play a numerous club overseas in Europe as well. Kind of like a fringe player while he's there in overseas, and now he's going back to the club that he started in his youth academy. So that's kind of an interesting story, an interesting career journey for him. And especially what's also kind of interesting is that they actually had to spend some gam to the other team in I think they gave Tam to the Houston Dynamo in order to get his rights so far. I mean that just feels like it's a very MLS kind of thing where you have to pay money to your rival just to get the first of refusal right, even though he used to play for you in the youth academy system. But yeah, seems like this is probably going to be again just a depth piece, just like what I said about the Red Bulls signing that Swedish midfielder. But we'll see whether or not if that is the case. Speaking of depth pieces, though, again, I wonder if this might be a depth pieces or rather it's maybe just a replacement of a more important player that the Vancouver Whitecaps have recently rumored to move on. So there's been a lot of rumor that Pedro Vite is moving on from the Vancouver Whitecaps, and this may be the player that they are trying to replace. They're acquiring Japanese-born Peru youth international Kenji Kabera. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen a player that is a Japanese born Peruvian player. That must be a first, not just in MLS, but in general in terms of all my life watching this game. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. But nevertheless, again, we'll see whether or not if this is maybe the replacement for Pedro Vite. I mean, the Pedro Vite sale, they had to do it, especially with the amount that it seems like there's been report to. It seems like they want to cash in now, especially this has been a career season for Pedro Vite. We've talked about before how he has definitely some potential to do some good thing and can definitely break out. Well, this is finally his breakout season. So, I've seen some teams they may be trying to hold on to pieces, especially when the player has a breakout season. Don't want to let them go, especially when a team is doing so well this season as the Vancouver Whitecaps is. But sometimes, when you have good young pieces and you can sell off for a big amount of money when they're at their peak, this is when you want to sell it because you never know whether or not if those offers is going to go well, and especially what if Pedro Vite have a dip of form or maybe or God forbid, guys suffer an injury later on. So again, I can understand why they decided to move on from Pedro Vite, even though some Whitecaps fans will be kind of confused, and especially it will be definitely a bit of a loss in that midfield. I mean, what Pedro Vite means to that midfield is absolutely important for this Whitecaps team. But getting this guy, we'll see whether or not if this is just a replacement or again more used for depth pieces as well. Now, the Colorado Rapids, they have transferred Chidozo Awazium to Nantes as well, and in the process, they're also already looking to line up for a replacement as they're looking to sign former Arsenal and current Crystal Palace defender Rob Holding. Remember Rob Holding, a guy that play regular minutes with Arsenal a couple of years ago, and a lot of people say that he was an up and coming English center back, maybe could be once be with the English national team. Yeah, that has not happened whatsoever. I mean, Rob Holding's career is kind of just been a bit big what if never really live up to his potential. And I guess Colorado is kind of a team that when it comes to reclamation project shit that is out there, come on down because that's the team that always claim reclamation project and able to rehabilitate them. So I'm guessing that if that is the case, I think Rob Holding could be a good defender for this Rapids team, especially this Rapids team has known to sign some good English players out there. I mean, I remember when they used to to go to the championship and go to League One with the likes of Jack Price and Colin Rowland as some of their signing, and both those guys turned out to be very well, and that goes the same if Rob Holding does come to the Colorado Rapids, and I think it could be also an upgrade for Awazium as well. Awazium definitely has not had an impact for the Rapids compared to what we see with FC Cincinnati. I mean, I can understand when they decide to get him in the first place. It kind of makes sense because they really need help in the defensive part, but he just haven't really look anywhere close to where he was with FC Cincinnati. And if they're right now, the fact that they of course receive an offer like that, they simply just can't not resist because this they want to find the good replacement for him. And like I said, I think Rob Holding could be a good replacement for a Wazium if that indeed is going to be the case. Now, Atlanta United, they are looking to waive. In fact, actually, they're not looking to waive. They've already waived Mate is like in terms of his contract. And you talk about some of the bad move that Atlanta United has made. Atlanta has just been completely gone bust when it comes to all the moves that they made. And once when they do get eliminated, and when we do the moving forward series, talk about Atlanta United, we'll the number one thing that we'll definitely talk about what went wrong for this team is all the signing just completely blown up in their face. And Mateus Click is another example of it. A one that I think is kind of flying under the radar because everybody already talked about the Latte Lab signing and the Almiron signing. Those two signings with those two guys not combining the way that Atlanta fans thought that they would be. I mean, that's definitely right up the chart in terms of some of the biggest busts that we've seen in terms of the transfer over the window. But people forgot about Mateus Click, a guy that they of course actually kind of got him for nothing. I thought originally this was a good move for Atlanta, especially Click did pretty well with DC United. I'm kind of surprised DC decided not to hang on to him. I guess maybe it's because of the contract that he owns. Maybe DC was trying to free up some spots, so they decided to trade him to Atlanta, and Atlanta, of course, got pretty much got this guy for pretty much nothing, and he's gonna thrive in the system as well, just like he did with DC. And it couldn't be harder from the truth. I mean, he's been pretty awful during his time with Atlanta, but it kind of is the case for the entire attack and also all the moves that Atlanta has made this offseason. I mean, name one move this offseason that Atlanta made has really panned out for this team, and you can't because all of them just kind of has gone completely bust. And yeah, there was no doubt that this was a no brainer for them to move on from him. Now, looking at some of the transfer rumors, and we definitely have some very spicy transfer rumors that happened this week. And everybody, of course, talk about the Thomas Muller sweepstake that is going on. Well, now, lately, we have heard there's a rumor that Sung Min might be coming to MLS. Now, I didn't think that was going to be the case. In fact, I actually spelled Sung name wrong. Let me just, I spelled it Sung Him Min when indeed his name is actually Sung Him Min there. So apologies for that. But either way, I mean, this would definitely be a big signing for MLS, especially for Son. He still is a very good player. I think he still have a couple of years left in the tank with Tottenham. I'm kind of surprised that he decided that this is a time for him to maybe move his European career behind and maybe come to MLS as well. And especially LAFC. This is a team that for the past couple of years, they kind of really becoming the LA Galaxy of the old, isn't it? Remember when the Galaxy is kind of that team that always tends to bring in the star player, especially those big name European players to MLS and kind of pioneer in terms of that. Well, it feels like recently it's been LAFC that is the one to do so. I mean, with the acquisition of uh, Olivier Giroud, Gareth Bale, and now potentially getting Thomas Muller as well. Now it seems like they're gonna also get Sung Min. Oh, did I even forget to mention about Hugo Lloris as well? That is another big acquisition that they made in the last couple of off season. So yeah, this would definitely be the latest one, and I think well, when you look at some of these acquisitions that they made in terms of players that kind of are a little over the hill, but just kind of for namesake. And while most of them hasn't really quite worked out, I think it can definitely work out if Sung Heung Min comes to MLS. I mean, like I said, I think he is still very good doing his time in Europe, and I think if he does come into the league, he definitely will provide a huge spark. I mean, he will definitely put a lot of pressure off of Denny Bawanga in terms of carrying this attack. And again, if this move does create it, this would definitely be a big move and definitely a big name out there. Sung Min is definitely one of the best uh, attacking player on in in the world for the past 4 years, and I think if they of course can get him, and this is a big speculation if that is the case, I think it will not only make LAFC better, but it can also add another big profile name into this league as well. Though it also kind of doesn't help the fact that it will also means that once again it adds a reputation that this league has kind of become a bit of a retirement league all over again. And this next move is not going to shake off that narrative because Thomas Muller, he's mentioned the fact that after he leaves Bayern, he's not going to retire just yet. He still wants to kind of have his song season or maybe be it two somewhere else. And MLS is definitely one of the league that he really wants to join. Well, now Vancouver and LAFC is among teams that is looking to try to get Thomas Muller as well. Now, it's also interesting to note that when I look at the LAFC Twitter page, they mentioned that there's going to be a signing coming up. So this is going to be interesting whether or not if that signing is actually Thomas Muller or maybe even Sung Hyun Min as well. If that is the case, I mean, I definitely didn't think that this move would have been done that quickly, considering this was a rumor that was just made just recently as well. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that we'll see who, of course, will get the Thomas Muller sweepstake. It's kind of interesting that Vancouver is in the hat as well because for a long time it looked like LAFC was the team to do so. But yesterday, I think Taylor Twellman mentioned that the Whitecaps were one of the team that is running to get Thomas Muller. And this is a guy that, I talk about Kenji Cabrera as a potential replacement for Pedro Vite. I take that back. I think it might be Thomas Muller, the one that could be the replacement. But I mean, he pretty much played in the similar position that Pedro Vite does play, and I know he is getting up there in age, and maybe he has 1 or 2 year left, but he is still one of the most intelligent player and one of the best midfielder in our recent generation. And I think you could say that it could be just as a good replacement, and maybe even just slightly an upgrade compared to Pedro Vite if Vancouver can snatch him up. But it'll be interesting to see who, of course, will win the Thomas Muller sweepstake. I think it's getting to a point where because he's been saying that he really wants to come to MLS, it's not if Thomas Muller will come to MLS, is when he does come there and who exactly is gonna get him out of MLS. Now, Atlanta United is report to sign defender Juan Barroco on loan from Getafe. So, as I mentioned with Atlanta before, with the way that heading into this transfer window, it's obvious that their main priority in this one is going to have to fix the defense and even the midfield as well. As much as they really want to fix the attack as well, they really can't because when you look at the contract that they're stuck with, and especially the monies that they spend, they just simply don't have that amount to try to fix the attack. So now, as bad as the attack is, and now that they're kind of in that situation where they kind of hope and pray that things would work out on the attack eventually, that $50 million attack, all those players will live up to their potential. Well, now they're gonna have to really think about their defense, and at least the defense is one area that they can at least adjust in the summer transfer window. In this very transfer window, we already saw that they I think they recently signed a defender lately, and now it seems like they're gonna get another one. And from what I heard, he's a decent profile player from La Liga as well. So yeah, we'll see whether or not if this signing will happen. And then St. Louis City, they're also looking to sell Joe Claus to Club Leon in Liga MX. Now, as much as this is definitely a little bittersweet if you're a St. Louis City fan, because Joe Claus is one of the original from that St. Louis side that came into the league. And again, I feel like in an alternative world, Joe Claus would be just one of the best number nine, not only in this league, but maybe right up there in terms of the best number nine in this league. Have he not suffered that injury after he start started his time in MLS and with St. Louis just on absolute fire. I mean, when in the first couple of games before he went down with injury, he was just putting up numbers like crazy to a point where I thought St. Louis had not only got their number nine, but they got number nine that could be right up there in terms of Fucho level of number nine in terms of the attack, and maybe even Joseph Martinez kind of type of number. Obviously, that hasn't really quite worked out. Again, the injury that he suffered, that injury has really set him back. He just have not looked the same ever since that. And there's at times show the flashes of that brilliance, but just really never really kind of live up to the incredible run that he has when he came into this league and was really introduced in this league and introduced as a St. Louis City player. And now they're just gonna have to move on from him, get some money out of that, especially going to Liga MX. I'm pretty sure St. Louis is looking to try and make some money out of that, and also potentially free up some space as well in the cap room because Joe Claus does take a bit of a cap space in terms of the money that he currently is earning with the St. Louis City side. Speaking of striker, so Charlotte FC is already looking to try to replace Patrick Ajman. One of the players that they're looking to replace him is this QPR striker called Charlie Kelman. Now, from what I heard, it seems like he had a promising youth career. He really braked out in League Two, which is the fourth division of English football, and then he eventually rise up the ranks now, play in the championship. Now with QPR, he's been okay doing his time with QPR, not spectacular, but when it comes to like championship player, I think they could still do well if they come into this league, especially with the way that we have seen before, where MLS player have gone to the championship and some have found success, some have not. We'll see whether or not if Patrick Ajiman will find some success, consider he's going to the championship with Derby County, but yeah, this is also a move that I'm also not surprised because knowing Dean Smith background, I'm pretty sure he has a scout network in the English game, and they're definitely going to bring some player from the English game to try to replace Patrick Archman, which I think there's definitely a bit of a shoe to fill. I mean, I know Patrick Archman didn't had a great season this year, but he's still a main force in terms of the number nine and the guy that has scored some of the most goal for this Charlotte FC side in recent time and really kind of break down after he was drafted a couple of years ago. And we'll see whether or not if them getting Charlie Kelman will be a good replacement for Patrick Ajiman. And now moving on to talk about some injuries reports. So NYCFC defender Thiago Martin actually undergo knee surgery. Now the good news is the knee surgery that he's undergo is not a serious one. It's not because of torn ACL whatsoever. So he should be back in 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, that's good news for NYCFC. Consider Thiago Martins one of the staple of that back line for NYCFC for the past couple of years. But unfortunately, not so good news for the Vancouver Whitecaps as one of their main stable at the back, Renko Veselinovic, he's done for the season after a torn ACL. So yeah, just a huge blow for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, I will say this that Laborda has done a really good job in that spot, or actually I wouldn't say Laborda, but Oopwake has done a really good spot in that role when he came in. But losing Veselinovic, one of the more consistent performance at the back for this Vancouver Whitecaps team. Yeah, that is a huge blow to this Whitecaps defense, and also kind of maybe sums up why the Whitecaps haven't really been defending that as good as they did recently compared to what they have in the first half of the season. Now, moving on to some news that is unrelated to transfer rumors or signings or even injury as well. So, Don Garber, of course, he did his All Star address, kind of like a mini State of the Union address, doing the All Star break and also doing the All Star festivities. So, he actually mentioned the Apple TV viewership. This is something that is kind of big because for a long time now, we just don't know exactly the number that how many people actually sign up for Apple TV in terms of MLS season pass and also how much is the viewership is going to be. And I have a feeling the reason why they can been keeping it a bit of a secrecy is that the numbers are probably not very good right now. I mean, I had a feeling that with the way that yes, Apple TV has done a good job in terms of now not have to worry about blackouts and not have to worry about just going through a regional network and maybe potentially get blacked out because of regional restriction or whatsoever. Or if you have some teams that maybe are on a network that really treat MLS teams like a second class citizen and kind of push them out if there is going to be their main team play in that network. Looking at you, yes, yes, network. Yeah, it's good the fact that we have Apple TV that is able to have allow fans to watch the games without any of those restriction whatsoever as well. But the bad news of with Apple TV is that also kind of maybe push out some of the casual fans because well, some people have issue with regional network putting games on regional network, especially for some team that put it on local TV as well. That has really draw in the casual end, and because now they're putting it behind a paywall. Yeah, if you're not really kind of a die horror or MLS fan like I am watching games because of reviews and so forth, it can be really expensive to actually pay for MLS season pass. And we're in an era in the streaming era where a lot of people are paying all kinds of different service where I don't think the average Joe would decide to once again pay more streaming device or more streaming service like MLS Season Pass on top of already a lot of things that they had to pay on top of it. But yeah, the average viewership that Don Garber said is 125,000, which is up for 50% over last year's as well. Now that's still not a great number in my opinion, especially with Messi being in this league. I thought the number would be greater than that. I mean, he also kind of really highlights the fact that the viewership number is up, which could be a promise, but that feels like it's kind of. I mean, I don't know if that's just kind of a way to show that it is a success or the fact that they're just really cherry picking in terms of what actually is very success, especially with the way that the 50% increase was just last year itself. Last year, remember, T-Mobile didn't actually offer customer in terms of MLS season pass. This year they brought it back itself, so maybe that's kind of makes up the number as well, and also some other promotion would give people Apple TV MLS season pass for free. So you got to factor in terms of that as well. But overall, again, I might be thinking about making a video talk about whether or not if Apple TV is good for MLS, and maybe even do a Venn diagram as well, and maybe even do like a pros and the cons in terms of Apple TV coverage in MLS because I think ever since MLS has entered this 10-year contract with Apple TV and now we're in year 3 of that 10-year contract, it is very interesting to see that. I have heard both sides in terms of the pros and the cons of this. I feel like I've heard more cons lately because of the way that people are kind of fed. I'll have to pay extra just to watch and their local team play, but still, the big pros of this is that at least you don't have to worry about juggling to regional network and the fact that the quality of the game, except for the commentary as well, the commentary is just not great whatsoever. But just the quality itself and the stream itself, it's actually pretty decent as well. And I know people might laugh after what happened last night in the All Star game when part of the game got cut off in terms of the feed. Well, that's actually a rarity. I think Apple TV has done a really good job in terms of the production level, way better than what we see with regional network, and especially way better than what we see with Fox and ESPN did when we saw those games on national television. I mean, those games, I swear how many times I mentioned how frustrated I was with the quality of the stream. Looks like something from 2010 rather than 2024, and just the production level as well in terms of not just the quality of the stream, but also just the audio as well, just absolutely horrendous compared to the audio and also the presentation that Apple TV does. Now, moving on, we got MLS calendar change to talk about as there's been report that they were gonna vote on this whether they're gonna move to a fall to spring season. It won't happen yet. They said that it might come after the World Cup in 2027. And again, this will be interesting as we continue throughout these next couple of months, or maybe even heading into next year as well. What when they do eventually make the vote, what is the decision is going to be. So far, it feels like MLS is really toward the fall to spring season, and I get it. Yes, they want to make it in a way where it lines up to the European calendar, but the big issue with the fall to spring calendar is something that they're going to have to address. what is going to happen during those long winter months and those harshest winter months like January, February, or even December as well. Because as you all know, playing MLS soccer in Northern City, especially Minnesota, is a great example of it. You cannot play an MLS regular season game in February. I mean, did they not see that game between U.S. versus Honduras when they play at Allianz in the middle well, actually, it wasn't even in the middle of February. It was in the beginning of February. It was a night game as well. How much that was that might be a home field advantage actually for the U.S., especially playing against a Central American team. But that was borderline dangerous to a point where you saw opponent a couple of Honduran player actually got frostbite because of playing in 2 degrees weather. You just cannot do that in MLS game. The player association, they would be up in arms if that, of course, is going to be the case. So that's going to be some of the thing that they're going to have to sort of. They are indeed going to move to a fall to spring season. I heard that they've been talking about maybe some stadium might be renovated, maybe put retractable roof or put a dome over in the city. I don't know if teams are going to do that, especially with the way that I don't know if some of these owners want to do that as well or have the funds to do so. Either way, it's going to be an absolute mess if they do decide to switch the fall to spring season. And that, I mean, I've been one of the person that's kind of against it, even though I know I live in an area that during the winter it doesn't get cold. In fact, the Bay Area is actually one of the warmer climates. Well, I wouldn't say the warmest climate, but it's definitely not like 30 degrees or 20 degrees like you usually see in some of these northern city. I mean, if the Quakes does play in the middle of January, I mean, it would be cold and it would be raining, but it wouldn't be something as crazy as what we've seen in some of these northern city where you could have MLS game that is play in single digit temperature, and that is absolutely ridiculous if that is the case. Now, Don Gabbard has also mentioned that Vancouver will actually not move, and the Whitecaps are still working with the city and province in terms of building themselves a new stadium. So it is pretty clear that the Whitecaps they want to move away from BC Place, and I don't blame them because BC Place it's a multi-purpose stadium. It's a stadium that it's actually a decent stadium in a decent downtown location. I do still feel it's a little bit cavernous, especially with them just kind of open only the lower bowl. They rarely open the upper bowl area, and that the other issue with BC Place, that turf is absolutely ugly. I mean, on TV when I saw that turf, it just looks bad, and players have not like it when they have to play on that turf. So now it seems like they're gonna play outdoor and potentially build a brand new stadium. I feel like Vancouver, when it comes to building themselves this new stadium and the location that they set up, it's very similar to the situation that Seattle found themselves in. Seattle have mentioned that they want to move away from Lumen and probably build a new stadium in Long Acres, and Sounders fans has been up in arms in terms of that because why in the world would you decide to move away from a prime location, even though if they are playing against at Lumen Field, one of the older stadium in MLS, and a stadium that is kind of still a little bit too big for the Sounders, a very cavernous. And as much as I know the Sounders want to one day have a Sox specific stadium, they've been very up in arms in terms of them building it at Long Acres, a place that just an absolute nightmare for Sounders fans to try to get to. Well, it seems like the Whitecaps, I heard they try to build a stadium down in Surrey, and that's an area that is not really easy to get to compared to getting to BC place as well. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting ordeal that the Whitecaps have found themselves in, and also the new ownership as well. They're still actively looking for an ownership to this day. It's been very dark when it comes to the news when it comes to this ownership, and this is again where I know people have said, well, what's going to happen to the Whitecaps? Are they going to move? Well, again, Don Gabber he mentioned that he's making sure that that's not going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think MLS is going to have a situation similar to what we see with the Columbus Crew threatening them to move somewhere else, because anytime when you have relocation, it's never a great thing. And Vancouver does have a good enough market where I think it would be silly for MLS to decide to move Vancouver to a different location. And then CF Montreal, they have actually put post a letter in terms of regarding the recent run of form, and they've also mentioned the fact that they are going to be committed to a rebuild. Now, as much as that sounds great from the ownership, acknowledging the frustration that the fan base have feel, it was a very half-assed letter. I mean, when you read it in terms of the letter, it feels really half-assed. And all they said is that, well, we addressed that we are in a poor run of form, so we're just simply gonna say we're gonna rebuild. Which again, this it's kind of weird to for a team to say that we're gonna commit to a rebuild when aren't they are supposed to be in a rebuild right now? I mean, this right now when you look at the team that is, I don't know what is Montreal trying to do right now. I don't know if this is supposed to be the beginning of the rebuild, especially with the lack of quality that they have on the squad. I mean, I'm assuming they are now really fully committed to do a rebuild because they're really selling off pieces. They're really stripping the team down to the bare bone with all the transaction that they made this summer so far. So I guess this is kind of the beginning of this deep rebuild. But unlike where for Toronto, I would say that in terms of their deep rebuild that they're going through, which is going according to plan, at least it seems like their rebuild is going according to plan because of the fact that the front office seems like they're actually not making the same mistake that they made in previous time, which is making some rash decision in terms of signing a big name player and decided to kind of play it out the long game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what CF Montreal is going to do, and do you really trust that front office in terms of that ownership group to get the rebuild right? I mean, I've mentioned many times before that ownership group is probably the worst ownership group. I'm thinking right up there with John Fisher with that ownership group with the Quakes as being the worst ownership group we have seen so far in the league. And do you trust that ownership and that front office to really get this rebuild going and heading in the right direction? Yeah, I don't think so. Again, it just feels very half-assed, and in some way, it just almost feels like it's a little bit of a confusing genre that the team have posed. I mean, I get that they were trying to repair the relationship with the fans, but it's hard to repair the relationship with the fans by putting a half-assed letter, and also they're just simply pissed off right now because of the current regime that they have. What they really need is the same thing that I've said about DC as well, and the same I said about the Quakes over the year. Joey Saputo's got to sell the team, and that there has to have an ownership change and maybe a clean house from top to bottom. That's the only way that I can see this team getting themselves get in the right direction of the rebuild. Because with this current regime, even if they're going for a rebuild, it's not going to go anywhere. We see this before with this team before when they say that they're going to go for a rebuild, and they just kind of been stuck in mud ever since that. And then lastly, the Denver NWSL team have actually unveiled their logo and their team name. And unfortunately, I don't have my phone right now to show you the team logo and the name. They unveiled themselves as the Denver Summit, which I think that's a really clever name. Consider it has some theme related to the Denver area, and the logo itself. My goodness, that is a world class logo. I think that it's probably one of the better logo that we've seen. It's a green logo, which is not a big surprise because it just feels like anything that is in Colorado. I'm kind of surprised that teams based in Colorado, not more teams that have their green livery. And in fact, that logo kind of reminds me a little bit of the City Connect jersey that the Rockies wear last year before they change it this year. As well, and also kind of reminiscent a little bit of the green jersey that the Colorado Rapids used to wear, and now they're going to be wearing that as their third kit as well. Or actually, is it the green jersey or the blue jersey that I wear? They have two different ones. I think it might be the blue jersey that they wear, but they used to wear both of that as kind of a retro kit. So it's just feels like it's only fitting for a soccer team, especially a women's soccer team in Denver, to have that kind of the color as well. It's a very beautiful logo, and again, I'm unfortunately I can't really show it right now because I don't have my phone with me right now to show it. But I recommend you check it out or even Google it as well. It's a beautiful logo as well. If that logo was in MLS right now, that would have been right up there in terms of top five in terms of the best logo in MLS right now. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for this long news of the week episode. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news. And there's going to be more of these long news of the week episode because of the way that with the secondary transfer window is now wide open. It's pretty much like the off season all over again. There's going to be a lot of movement that's going to talk about a lot of transfer, a lot of signings to talk about to a point where I might even switch boards because of the amount of moves and signings that is going to be making in these next couple of weeks. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board that you want me to mention. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.